Detroit, a thriving city. Well, now bouncing back, and not a bad basketball team, but not a good team either. Anyway, the Detroit Pistons were born in the 1940s as a part of the first NBA as the Fort Wayne Pistons in Fort Wayne, Indiana. Ironically, the 1955 championship involving Fort Wayne actually had to be moved to a bowling alley because of a trade show that was happening in their home stadium. So, of course, unfortunately, things looked bad for Fort Wayne and all that. I think they did win the 1955 championship. I'm not sure, but anyway. So the Detroit Pistons, they moved to Detroit. I forget when. I think it was 1961 or something like that. Detroit had a basketball team. They had a football team, a baseball team, and a hockey team. Might as well have basketball. So the old Pistons were really led by Bob Lanier, among others, who were pretty good, and Dave Bing, who were decent, and Dave DeBuscher, who were decent Detroit Pistons. The Detroit Pistons weren't really NBA really tested in the 1970s and 80s. In the 1980s, they actually moved some games to the Silver Dome and to the Pounds of Auburn Hills. But anyway, the Pistons loved the wide open space of the Silver Dome. Their stadium can hold a lot of fans, and they're hoping for such. But Detroit in the 1980s got a break when Isaiah Thomas was drafted by the Pistons third overall in 1981. He had just led Indiana to the college basketball championship. So he was ready to go and helping Detroit out. Detroit in the mid 80s would toughen up with Chuck Daly as coach, Bill Laimbeer, Joe Dumars, um, Rick Mahorn. I don't know, a lot of other Detroit Pistons in those days. But the Pistons toughened up. And one of their most famous playoff series was 1987, even though it ended in a loss. In the Eastern Conference semifinals, they took on the Boston Celtics. In Game 5, the Pistons had a chance to inbound the ball and ice the game away, but unfortunately, Isaiah Thomas threw it right into Larry Bird's hands. Bird swung the ball to Dennis Johnson, who put a layup, and the Celtics won that game and the series. The Pistons vowed not to get burned again, so in 1988, they just did it a lot better. They became more aggressive with the ball, like being bad boys, if you will. And the plan worked. It got them to the 1988 NBA Finals against the LA Lakers. And they lost in Game 7. But Isaiah Thomas's injury in Game 7, he came back to play some minutes. And although it didn't lead the Pistons to a title, it was still great. 1989, the Pistons broke through and finally got an NBA title under their belts. They made a big trade picking up Adrian Dantley and Mark Geyer. So the big trade, Adrian Dantley got his ring against the Lakers. In 1990, the Pistons went back to back thanks to a last second shot from Finney Microwave Johnson, who slipped one in for the corner to make it back to back titles for the Pistons. In 91, the Pistons were hoping to go back to back to back and all that. This is the what if for the Pistons. It's because, they won two straight titles, and then in 91, they had a chance to knock down the Bulls in the Eastern Finals. But the Bulls did their psychology thing. The Pistons always got them with psychology. The Bulls decided to give it back, basically not being pushed around and seeing how the Pistons would like it. And the Pistons didn't like it. They squandered it, and they got swept by the Bulls. Bulls went on to win the first of their 6 NBA titles that year. The Pistons kind of had a few dreams dashed. Isaiah Thomas was getting old. Joe Dumars was getting old. Basically, the old guard, it was just not there. Dennis Rodman was a decent player for the Pistons, but his way of playing was hurt by his off-court problems. And so he was traded away from the Pistons. So anyway, the Pistons had a few good times with things, including Grant Hill, who went from Duke to the Detroit Pistons and was named co-Rookie of the Year alongside Jay Kidd. So anyway, Grant Hill helped the Pistons do well. Jerry Stackhouse came over to help out the Pistons as much. The Pistons didn't really have that much drive. But in 2003, something changed. For some reason, they had the number 2 overall pick in the draft, and they decided to draft Darko Milicic. They needed a center, a European center. It's like, what? How could you leave Carmelo Anthony, Chris Bosh, and Dwayne Wade off the board? All you freaking had to do was get one of those guys and maybe get a center in free agency and all that. But no, they went with Milicic, who basically had a shitty season. But he did win an NBA title with the Pistons in 2004, his rookie campaign. But the Pistons did well. They picked up Ben Wallace and Rasheed Wallace in trades. Chauncey Billups came out of freaking nowhere to steal the show in the 2004 finals against the Lakers. Rip Hamilton was drafted. You know, a lot of great Pistons and all that. The Pistons were in the 2004 NBA Finals, and they won against the Lakers. And then November 2004 came. 15 years ago, a scuffle between Ben Wallace and Jermaine O'Neal, Pistons versus the Pacers, got out of hand, and basically there were a lot of fights going on and all that in Detroit. Ron Artest, or Meadow World Peace as he's now known as, was actually calmly being on the scorer's table, and then someone threw a drink on him, and Artest went in the stands. Basically, the fans were shaming themselves. They actually poked the bear and got some Pacers expelled for several games. Artest basically served 70 games, and Steven Jackson hit 30 plus. But there's still no excuse. I mean, the fans should have been ashamed of themselves. Strangely, though, the Pistons did not falter from this thing. The Pistons won the 2005 Eastern title. But unfortunately, the San Antonio Spurs, playoff tested as they are, crushed them. The Pistons have done decently. Like that Ben Wallace. They even wanted to pick up Blake Griffin to complement Andre Drummond and try to help the Pistons out. And although the Pistons took all 3 games from my Toronto Raptors last year, the Raptors did in fact win the NBA championship. So anyway, the 1991 What If is the Pistons versus the Lakers. This would be the 3rd time in 4 years that these 2 teams will bump into each other. All right, so it's the 91 Pistons and the 91 Lakers. Very good lineup. I guess I did make a mistake. Aguirre was traded to Dallas was not traded to Dallas. He was sent from Dallas. Game 1 saw the Lakers win 84-81. Well, the Lakers obviously had home field because of their wins. So anyway, no Dennis Rodman. Oh yeah, Dennis Rodman did play. Played 33 minutes. John Sally should not have played that many minutes, but anyway, they wanted a rebounder. 19 from Dumars, 13 from Isaiah, 11 from Aguirre. Rodman had 16 boards. Gerald Henderson, senior. Will Bedford, John Long, number 1. Vinny Microwave Johnson, Lance Blake, Tree Rollins played for that team, and James Edwards. The 91 Lakers, 17 from Worthy, 16 from Magic, 13 from D-Black. It was all defense. AC Green, Terry Teagle, Michael Thompson, Tony Smith, Larry Drew. Larry Drew? The guy from Valparaiso? Played for the team. Nice. No, sorry, that was Homer Drew. How did I mess that up? Game 2 saw the Pistons get home court back with a 106-97 win. 23 from Aguirre, 20 from Isaiah, 19 from Dumars. Rodman got 15 boards even though he didn't play the whole game. Henderson, Bedford, Long, Lance Blanks. Yep. Microwave couldn't do anything. 19 from Magic in 38 minutes. That's pretty good. Terry Teague, 11 points in 17 minutes. That's very good off the bench. Yeah, I said Tony Smith, right? Yeah. We switch up 1-1 in Detroit. And the Bad Boys thought they had it, but the Lakers beat them 103-90. 3 players for 16 points. James Murphy, Byron Scott, and Flighty D-Black. Michael Thompson with 10. We see the appearances of Alden Campbell and Irving Thomas coming to the league. That's amazing to see. The 91 Pistons, only guy in double digits was Joe Dumars for 19. Several had 8 points, but anyway. Robin, good rebounding. And Scott Hastings makes his debut in the 1991 finals. Penny Johnson, 7 points. That's not bad. So at 2-1, the Lakers look good. Game 4 sees overtime and the Lakers winning to now have a 3-1 series lead. 30 points from Magic in 42 minutes. Werby, 21 in 43. Vladdy Divac, 23 points. Amazing. And the Pistons, 42 minutes from Joe Dumars. 41 from Isaiah, 41 minutes. 21 points from Geyer. Lambier had 18 points. That's unusual. 18, 18, 18. Dumars Thomas. See all those players with less time. No Piston got more than 4 fouls. Vladdy Divac got 4 for the Lakers. Now game 5 in Detroit because it's 2-3-2. Is this it? The answer is not yet. 119-91. Lakers couldn't get 100 points. 21 for Magic, though. 17 for Worthy. So, yeah, Irving Thomas. I think I talked about Irving Thomas, but anyway. 21 from Isaiah, 19 from Geyer. So, yeah, things got back together. 12 points from Bedford in 10 minutes. That's pretty good. So, it's 3-2 headed back to Lakerland. Lakers just need to win one freaking game. This could be the rubber match. This is a rubber match. And the Lakers did win. Sorry, Detroit. I tried so hard, I guess. So anyway, 109-99. The Pistons just didn't have the guts. 19 from Isaiah, pretty good. Running 15 rebounds off the bench. Sally only got 4 points, but yeah, not much on offense. 23 from Byron Scott in 34 minutes. Worthy, 12 points. Magic, 19 in high numbers. So basically, the Lakers just stuck together, and Magic got himself a title before his HIT thing. Sad to see, but you know what? The bad boys would have to be quiet boys from now on.